Hey there, and welcome to Making the Most of It, a conversational podcast aiming to educate, enlighten, and empower through intimate and timely conversations with industry-leading health professionals, entrepreneurs, moms, dads, athletes, and beyond. I'm Jennifer Morgan, pediatric occupational therapist and host of this fun, new digital adventure. I'm so excited you're joining the conversation. We've got lots to discuss in this precious window of time, so let's get started. This is Making the Most of It. Today we're sitting down with Jeff Coleman, co-founder of BrainLeap Technologies, a suite of gaze control games intended to train foundational attention skills. As an entrepreneur, Jeff walks us through the potentials and pitfalls of brain training games, and also enlightens us on the expanded use of eye tracking technology abroad. We see so many businesses and games in the education community. Tune in for a great conversation with an education-based business and learn the value and intent behind one of the products geared to help our children. Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Jennifer.
Thanks for taking the time today.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on this morning / afternoon. And we haven't met in person, so we're meeting for the first time right now. So it's great to meet you. And I just wanted to, we connected about your business, BrainLeap Technologies, and I did some research on it and it looks interesting, and I just wanted to find out more about it and talk with you about how you guys started that and just what you guys do. And I know your wife Leanne is a big part of this, and I don't know if I didn't really ask if she was available today, but I'd love if she's around, she's more than welcome to jump in if she wants to. But I guess my question is, well, you can if you could give a quick summary of BrainLeap, but more importantly, Attention Arcade, what you guys are working on. And then I'm really interested in how it started, what the conversation was like, not just conversation, but the vision, like just kind of how it came to be.
Sure. So the Attention Arcade is a suite of gaze-driven video games that by gaze-driven, that means you control them using only your eyes. And the reason that really matters is because we're trying to train attention skills. Mm-hmm. And the eye movement system and the attention system share a lot of the same neural circuitry, which makes sense. When something catches your attention, you want to look at it. Or if you look at something, you're putting your attention on it. And by using the gaze control of the games, we are able to train really low-level foundational attention skills. Some of the brain training games that have been out for a while, they're training things like working memory, which is attention's an important component of that. But no one has found a way to train those really foundational skills well. And that's what we were able to do early on. And I say it really was my wife and our other co-founder, Jean Townsend. So my wife is Leanne Chikoski. Mm-hmm. Jean Townsend is our other co-founder. They started working together almost 10 years ago now. And they brought complementary skills. Actually, my wife tells the story of when she was coming back to UCSD full-time, she looked around who had the best eye tracking systems at the university, and she wanted to meet them all. And Jean happened to have a really good system at the time, and at that point you were spending like $20,000 to get a good research grade attention or eye tracking system. And so they met and they just hit it off. And Jean, who is I forget the exact word, but it's like a professor emeritus. She retired and then came back to the university. She said about 10 years ago, she really wanted to have an impact on the kids she had been studying all these years, rather than just looking at what the challenges were and where how development was atypical and all of those things. she really wanted to take an opportunity to help with an intervention that could improve the lives of these children, and that was
Right.
exactly what Leanne was thinking at the same time,
So they were
because
doing the
she had worked for
research, but they wanted
what's that
to act. So they were doing the research, but they actually wanted to see the function and see the intervention. Have the kids that they're studying make progress, right? And just see
exactly.
what their products, what kind of things can help these kids who they've been studying all these years.
Yeah, so
What's
Leanne
yeah.
had worked for Autism Speaks for a short while as a program officer, which meant she was funding a lot of um, research that was being done. But she learned there that 85% of research, both government and private, is spent on basic research.
Right.
There's very little money spent on translational, and so that was where she got the impetus. And when she and Jean met, they combined their knowledge. Jean has deep understanding and experience in autism
Mm-hmm.
um, and the development of attention, and Leanne's experience was in eye movements and attention, and so they combined that, and that's when they came up with the idea for the games.
Amazing. I mean, I love that story. As you know, I'm an occupational therapist, and that's how we kind of connected because these are the kids that I work with. I work with kids on the spectrum. I work with kids with significant ADHD, and I've used many of the programs that are out there, and I'm familiar with them. And your program is very unique in that it really does what I think combine the research and lots of research, years of research, and the latest best technology and kind of
Mm-hmm.
combines, and what kids are interested in and what motivates them, which is video games and being on a computer, even though at this time everyone's kind of screened out. You've
Yeah.
actually, you know, what your product and what you guys are doing is, kind of tackling that in a different way. So making it fun, which is what we're all about.
Yes.
And, uh, you know, using that information to, have kids make progress in real life, situations in the classroom and at home. So what does your I guess company, or what does everything look like right now? Was COVID-19 happening? Was that a good thing for you guys, kind of, in terms of, more kids are at home? Did it kind of halt things? What impact has the current situation had on you guys?
Right. So we're a 3-year-old company, and so in the end of 20 of last school year, we were just starting to get some traction in schools, and we had decided to pursue schools because we felt we could have a bigger impact there. There are lots of kids who aren't getting services that need it, and there are a lot of kids there who don't have diagnoses in particular, but have a teacher can tell you which child has attention challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so we felt that was really a good fit, and schools saw it, at least some of them saw it, as actually a potential cost savings, because as they help these kids develop the skills, there would be less services they needed. Um, so it just all combined, and we really started getting going. We're in about 10 schools, or were, um, and then everything shut down. And we actually still have computers for one school who signed up, and we were supposed to deliver them on Monday, and that was when, no
Monday in
one,
March. A Monday
exactly.
in March, yeah. So, are you guys primarily serving schools in San Diego? Where are you guys located? Kind of home base in San Diego, or where are you
We
guys?
are
Where's the
based
home
in,
base?
yeah, we are based in San Diego. The most of the schools are in Southern California. We're in schools up at 2 schools up in LA as well, and one out way out in East County. But the rest are all here in San Diego. And yeah, so it was a real switch for us when school stopped. Even we can't even reach some of our we couldn't even reach some of our customers in, say, April of last year, because they were just so busy with everything else trying to figure it out. So we made the switch to home users, and we thought it was a really good time, and it was really promising. Unfortunately, what we found is families are just slow to make a decision about it. Even those who say it's really sounds great, we really
Right.
would like, they just aren't. A lot of them aren't jumping in to actually do it.
I understand that 100% because, and I think maybe one factor is that kids are spending so much time on the computer anyway, right?
Yeah.
And parents are overloaded. So parents who are working full time, this is what we've experienced in my practice at least,
Hmm.
is the last thing they want is their child to be on more, on the screen more, and them, if the parent is working full time, having to supervise and navigate a new program, learn it, teach it to their child, manage them while they're also trying
Yes.
to work themselves. It's been really challenging for a lot of people. So even though it's, ideally it would be a great time, the screen aspect of it is hard. And it's hard for us too because for what we do, it's very physical. So that's a whole nother story. But just yeah, it's just a different. It's been interesting, hasn't it?
It is. And the problem has been communicating the full story to people in a lot of
Right.
ways, because one is kids actually get really tired of playing the games. I'm sorry, get really tired while they're playing the games,
Mm-hmm.
because controlling your eye movements
It's
is
exhausting.
actually really kind of exhausting
Yeah.
because you're not used to doing it. You can move your
Right.
eyes 3 to 4 times per second, and to have to bring that in and stay in that narrow screen space is actually really challenging. And very few kids want to play more than 30 minutes
Right. And you
because,
said you guys recommend 20. What is it? 20 to 30 minutes, 3 times a
yeah,
week at least, to make it
yeah,
effective. Which is actually pretty much, I would say, any sort of therapy or treatment. That's probably about a good chunk to really make some significant progress. Right.
right.
Yeah.
But the thing that parents don't understand is how little they need to be involved. I mean,
Right.
kids get video games.
Yeah,
They
they
don't,
do. Automatically.
right?
We had no idea. You could sit them in front of the computer and they're like, oh, I get this.
And that's really like when we do teacher trainings in schools, the teacher would be like, well, what do I need to do? I'm like, here's how you calibrate, because you have to calibrate the eye tracker, which takes less than 30 seconds. And once you do that, and that only really needs to be done once, then you just tell the kid to go play. And you might want to remind them to play different games, because each of the games trains different aspects of attention.
Hmm.
But aside from that, that's all the
Right.
parents need to do. And
Right.
we probably haven't done a great job of communicating that.
Well, I think I see huge value in the programs that you guys are offering and the reasoning behind it. And, whether it's now or in the future, I see it being a huge, huge success because, you know, I love, the idea that the underlying skills that kids need to be able to function well in school and in other activities, uh, related to attention and especially executive functioning, which is such a buzzword right now, but for
Yeah.
good reason, finally.
Yes.
uh, is those skills have to be mastered in order for kids to continue and initially to be able to be successful in school and
Right.
learning. And so I was thinking about, have you guys done research on uh, reading levels? So kids with some sort of like whether it's dyslexia or some sort of learning disability or learning challenge other than just simple ADHD. Have you guys done studies about improvement in reading and, I guess, not necessarily accuracy, but fluency and
Hmm.
that was kind of one of my initial thoughts is just, because I have done other vision programs, computer
Right.
based programs, etc. And that is usually a huge marker for especially, the eye tracking and motor movements
Um,
with
we
eyes.
completely agree, and we actually have been funded by a National Science Foundation grant, and part of that was to do some studies in schools, to correlate attention skills with how kids are doing academically. And that was really important to us. Unfortunately, all the schools we were working with are closed.
Mm-hmm.
So we've had to kind of reorient. However, we are super excited about a new partnership we have with a company called Lexplore. And what they do is they actually use eye tracking to do reading assessments.
Mm.
And they're based out of Sweden and they have a strong presence in Europe. They don't have a particularly strong presence in the US yet.
Yet.
But we're launching a partnership with them this month to start getting into schools in the UK because those schools are open and they have the hardware there already, and all they need is our software. And so we're doing some pilots there, and we really hope to start seeing the data of, here's where a kid's reading assessment is,
Mm-hmm.
here's attention training and
Yeah.
where we saw improvements, and now let's assess them again.
Wow.
And we think that that is really where we need to be.
Yeah.
And it was total luck that we found this company because they're not really strong in the U.S. But we got an introduction to them, and yeah, we're both Lexplore and BrainLeap are very excited about the synergies between the companies because of the exact reasons you said. We
Yeah, that
should see
sounds
improvements in
exciting.
reading first of all the things that
Yep.
attention's going to improve.
Yeah, that's really exciting, and maybe you guys will maybe your first trip will be to the UK after COVID. Make it a
That's
business
very
trip.
likely,
There you go.
even though I've been there a lot of times. But
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean it's really fascinating. So, I am curious about this actual eye tracker. So,
mhm.
I mean, that's some pretty incredible technology that it can track a child's eye movements from where it's placed, that little strip on the
Yep.
computer. What is something like that? How did that develop? Was it already developed, or did you guys kind of change it and modify it to make it more
No,
user
we,
friendly?
we
Or
buy
how
them.
does Okay.
We just buy them from the company who makes them, which is a company called Toby. And they've been in the eye tracking business, mostly on research side, for about 30 years,
Cool.
25 to 30 years. And so what's changed though is, as I mentioned earlier, eye trackers used to cost in the tens of thousands of dollars. And so, you can put a lot of tech into that.
Mhm.
And some of the early stuff, was really fancy and everything, but early eye trackers, you needed to use a bite bar you would bite down on something so your head wouldn't move to do the eye tracking, which obviously is quite unpleasant. Um,
I don't think kids that
but
I work with would be able to do
no, no,
that. They'd be like,
that
no.
was mostly, undergraduate students who wanted to get paid for a study did those kind
Right.
of things.
I can imagine, yeah.
Um, but they've come a huge way in the last 10 years. It's just
Hmm.
seen dramatic changes until they got to ones that they built for gaming, which is actually what the eye tracker we use was originally designed for, so that you can get a more immersive experience in gaming. But what they did was, the early eye trackers, you had to have hold your head still and everything, and that's why the early research out of UCSD was with older kids because they were using eye trackers that weren't nearly as robust as the current ones we're using. Now we have ones kids can move their heads all around, as long as you don't move the computer too much. You can come sit down at it, the next day, and it picks your eyes up again like that because it has a model of your face and everything that it uses to do this eye tracking, and it's absolutely amazing.
Wow. That I mean it sounds absolutely amazing, and I mean this whole idea is very very intriguing to me, and I'm very interested in it. And I do know that part of, you guys haven't asked this before, but where does vision therapy, so a lot of the kids that I work with, so kids with underlying, you know, visual processing differences and difficulties, uh, a lot of them, we end up working on visual processing skills, but a lot of times I also refer out to, a vision therapist who specializes in this type of work where they can really hone in on what specifically the child needs to work on in terms of whether it's, uh, whether it's what type of
Yeah.
vision issue it is, right? So how do you guys work in correlation with vision therapists? Is this kind of, it's so user friendly that I see that occupational therapists would use it as part of their practice. Do you see that vision therapists would use it as part of their training, or is it totally separate? Where do you guys fit in terms of that
Yeah.
scope?
So you're starting to step outside of my area of expertise.
Okay.
I'm a business guy.
Leanne, is this a Leanne question?
Yeah. And unfortunately, she can't join me right now,
No
but
problem.
it's so it could be supplemental to vision therapy. And one of the things, having a child come in once a week for vision therapy is not nearly as good as getting them to train for 30 minutes 3 times a
I
week
agree.
or more at home. So it absolutely could be supplemental to it. In terms of what vision therapy is particularly good for, and our attention training is good for, um, from what I understand, anything that involves depth and the uh, uh, binocular requires building those skills for binocular vision.
Mm-hmm.
Our games aren't going to help with that. But if you're talking just the eye movements and getting more accuracy and improvement, that's absolutely what we're training.
Right.
And
And visual
so
attention.
it's a fun way to do it. And I would see some vision therapists who might be a little more forward looking, realizing that it could be really complementary to what they do. Um, because it's not, we're not trying to assess kids. We're measuring things as they go, but we're not trying to assess what they have. All we're doing is trying to help them train skills.
Okay.
And, it could be absolutely a complement to what vision therapists are trying to do.
I agree. I agree. So, last two questions. One, which is your favorite game on Attention Arcade?
Some of them I'm not particularly good at, so those aren't my favorites.
I don't think I would be very good at them. I was like,
our newest game I find particularly challenging, and it may just be because I haven't played it as much. But
which one?
the first game that we have kids play, Dr. Mole and Mr. Hyde, is really a fun game because it incorporates having to look quickly and accurately at the bandit moles that pop up. But then there's this inhibitory control where you aren't supposed to look at Dr. Mole when he pops up. And so,
Yeah.
even after playing a long time, it still can be challenging to do that.
Yeah.
And so it's fun. And we've started adding more levels. The moles parachute from the sky. We have 2 of them pop up at the same time. So it's gotten to be a lot more fun. So that's actually my favorite game.
That's great. Do you guys work with a computer? Who is designing the games?
So we have a team of developers. We have
Okay.
not me. um, we have a team of developers who have learned, the fundamental skills that we're trying to create. My wife is very involved in helping figure out what the game's components should be, and then we have a team. They love video games. That's why they're all part of our team, including our chief technology officer is actually a PhD from UCSD and has worked with my wife for years. But he also, has done a lot of computer development and stuff. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they create the games and they have a lot of fun with it. And actually, we've had interns who come from one of our games was created by a high school intern. He just really was into it and wanted to learn, and he did a lot of the work. He didn't do any of the graphics and stuff, but he did most of the programming on it.
That's great.
So
I love that. And I know that, I'm just thinking about what, kind of motivates you guys to be doing this besides, just getting kids to, obviously getting the research piece, but also getting kids to improve in this area of attention and executive functioning and visual attention. What would you say is your... I know that you guys also... Hold on, let me back up. So I know that you guys really want to empower kids. So you want... The idea behind this is that kids can say, okay, attention, I have a difficult time with this, but I can really improve my skills in this area. Yeah. So besides empowering kids to kind of take ownership and feel good about what they're doing and learning and their skills. What would you say is kind of like your guys' biggest just inspiration or motivation or piece of advice that you would give either kids that you're working with or other adults, or just in general, what would be kind of motivation, inspiration?
I mean, our main motivation for doing this, my motivation in particular, is that making small changes to how a child learns and can interact in life has huge benefits. As I'm sure you know from occupational therapy,
Yeah.
just those little changes can pay off for years, and they compound. And so when you can help a youngish child figure out these skills and develop them so that school's easier, so that paying attention to your parent is easier, so that interactions with other people are easier, life becomes easier for them, and they can do so much more in life. And my motivation in life, well before we started BrainLeap, was to help people kind of reach their full potential.
Mm-hmm.
And when BrainLeap came along, when my wife started explaining the results they were getting from the research, I said, we need to do this. I need to do this. And that's what the most exciting thing I get to do, is talk to families about the improvements they see in their children, because it's life-changing for a lot of them.
I agree. And I can see that. And I know firsthand how that is. And it's so rewarding. And it's so amazing when you can combine what you do for a living, what you're passionate about, and helping others, especially kids, make their lives better. I mean, just it's the best feeling in the world. So what would you give? What would be your piece of advice, or one thing you've learned, just small piece of advice, or life lesson, or just something that you want to share? Just, I don't know, anything that you want to share.
Well, I see it in some of our team, and most of them are there because they faced attention challenges in their lives, and they persevered, and now they've worked hard, and they're able to not just have a fulfilling career, but also get to help kids who are just like them. And seeing that and being able to have those individuals on our team is super fulfilling. And I love working with young people. Most of our team is either, well into their 40s or like 22. And so, it's really fun to get to work with those folks and help them develop and become, the best version of themselves, and really do what they want in life and have fun doing it.
I love that. Well, thank you so much, Jeff, for taking time out of your Monday today to talk to us. And I'm really excited about what you guys are working on, what you guys are offering. And I'll be in touch about, how we can potentially work together in the future. Great. And I have my wheels are always turning. So as we've been talking, I'm already like, okay, like thinking ahead. So I will definitely be in touch. And it's amazing work that you guys are all doing. You, Leanne, I think it's Jeannie, right? Jeannie. And your whole team. And thank you. So great work.
Thanks
Keep
so
it
much
up.
for having me.
And so excited.
We appreciate the work OTs are doing, because they're on the front lines helping these kids, and any way we can make your jobs easier, we're excited about. So
thank you so much. All right, you guys, that's the end of our show. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Let's always remember to stay humble, be kind, and to take the opportunities we have to help educate, enlighten, and empower ourselves and those around us. We've only got this one life. Let's live it well, or try by making the most of it. Take care till next time.